Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we've got something that should be really quite interesting. This apparently was the first commercially available smoked beer in America, and it's also going to be my first review from the state of Alaska. So today we're going to go to Juneau in Alaska, the state capital, and we're having a taste of my first beer from Alaskan Brewing Company. This one is the Smoked Porter 2012 vintage. This guy comes in at 6.5% and it's very highly rated, at a 99 overall on Rate Beer and a 91 within the style, so it should be really quite good. This was one that of course I got through the små partiers in Systembolaget here in Sweden, and I'm really looking forward to this. Alaska's a very interesting place to find beer from. I never would have thought you'd find this over in Sweden, so it's really cool to get a hold of this one. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know that my whole kind of love affair with beer started with the Schlenkerla beers from Bamberg, so to try the first one that ever came out in America is pretty exciting actually, so I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Alaskan Brewing Company. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, like I said. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It'd be especially great to hear from you guys up in Alaska and hear what your craft beer scene is like, because this is the only brewery I've actually ever heard of from you guys up there, but I know there are other ones around, so please do tell me a little bit more about that. But it's always great to hear from you guys, and the support you give the channel is hugely appreciated, and I hope you enjoy my first Alaskan beer review. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Alaskan Brewing Company then. So Alaskan Brewing was founded back in 1986 by Jeff and Marcy Larson. So Jeff was a chemical engineer by trade, and he was also a home brewer in his spare time, but Marcy was an accountant and apparently an aspiring bush pilot as well. She essentially went to Alaska for a summer job one year and then just never left. The pair of them fell in love with the people and the nature that you find up in Alaska, of course. And Alaska's an interesting state. It's 20% of America's landmass. It was Russian until 1867, and it was bought for $7.2 million. Apparently a lot of people thought this was a waste of money until they discovered all the gold, and now there's oil and diamonds and God knows what else up there. But it's supposed to be a very nice place. Juneau, of course, where these guys are based, that is the state capital. It's a very small town actually. Fairbanks and Anchorage, of course, are the better known cities and the bigger cities, but Juneau is actually the state capital. But these guys started off as the first brewery in Juneau since Prohibition, and they were the 67th independent brewery in America at the time of opening. They started off with 88 small investors, and they've been continually expanding ever since their inception. So the first beer that they produced was actually based on a Gold Rush era recipe that was built up from newspaper and shipping records. I believe this was something that Marcy found when she was researching, and this is now their Alaskan Amber, which is considered by many to be their flagship beer. But they've gone from strength to strength, and it really is kind of cool to see a craft brewery be so successful from such a small city and also a very remote part of the world actually. So really cool. If you get the chance to try some of the Alaskan Brewing Company beers, I recommend that you do, because this is what craft beer is all about. It is all about finding beers from random places and finding different things. So yeah, give them a go if you get the chance. At the moment they're producing 8 regular beers, they've got 4 seasonals as well, and they've got various limited editions. This is one of their limited edition series beers, and it's produced every year with different vintages and stuff like this. So it's a really interesting one apparently. It was very highly rated on Rate Beer, so if you come across this one, give it a go and see what you think. But we'll get on to the tasting section of this video now. So just to tell you a little bit about this beer then before we open it up, this one is a 6.5% smoked porter. It was first produced in 1988, and it was the first of the commercially available smoked beers over in the US. It contains 5 different types of malt. Some of it is actually smoked personally by Alaskan Brewing Company, and they use alderwood to do that apparently, which is really quite interesting. I think it's smoked in the same way that Alaskan smoked salmon is treated. So a very interesting beer, this one, and I'm glad that we're able to try it for you on the channel. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open up there, just checking that you can see this on the camera. So yeah, you can see there the nice moose kind of just wandering around on the hill. I do like how that's presented. It says here, we've applied the Alaskan tradition of alder smoking to the malts of this rich, intensely flavoured porter, a recognised leader amongst the world's smoke beers. Enjoy it now or aged for several years. And it says on this one that it was aged on the 18th of September 2012, or bottled on the 18th of September 2012 rather. So looks really nice, brewed by Alaskan Brewing Company, Juneau, Alaska, United States of America. So yeah, really nice looking beer. Don't drink if you're pregnant obviously, and it tells you can recycle the bottle. There of course is the Alaskan bottle cap on this one. It's a nice, looks like a sort of polar bear with its little cub, which is kind of cool. Brewed in Alaska. I'll definitely be keeping that one, and I think I'll put this bottle up on the shelf behind me for future reviews. But yeah, really interesting beer this one, so without further ado, let's get it out and get on with the tasting then. So yeah, nice smoky opening then, and we'll get it out into the glass. I tell you something, you can smell the smoky character from this one as you open it up. Oh yeah, you know, it's poured exactly as you'd expect, a nice kind of dark ebony rosewood colour there. If I hold it up to the light, it does have a little bit of a ruby edge to it, but mainly it's pretty much a dark kind of almost Coca-Cola colour, this beer. It's that dark sort of really ebony blackwood kind of colour. The head on this one, it's about a finger, frothy beige tan head. Really nice looking beer. There are some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. I can smell a little bit of kind of red fruity character coming off this one, and I guess if it has been aged in the bottle for 5 years, if it was bottled back in 2012, you are going to get a little bit more of that red fruity ester, but it smells really nice and it looks great. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh yeah, that's an interesting one. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and mull over the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. There's always a good bit of experience to be had there. Same with any whiskey or any sake or anything like that. But that's lovely. The smokiness on this one, it's definitely leaning more towards the meaty side of things for me. I always find that the smoky character is either meaty or it's peaty. A lot of the Scottish smoke beers that we get back home are more peaty, but a lot of the German ones and things like that tend to be more meaty. For me, this one really is leaning more towards that kind of bacony, meaty side of things. It smells lovely. And I guess that must be the different woods that they smoke things with. Of course, the alder wood will be different from the beech wood that they use in Germany, or the oak that they use in some cases as well. But it's lovely. There's a bit of brown sugar in there. You can pick up a little bit of a kind of toasted caramel, but the smoky elements, as you would expect, are dominating the aroma of this one. But yeah, some roasted black malt just kind of underpinning the beer as well. There's almost a little bit of a kind of brown bready character coming out of the beer as well. You can just smell that underpinning it, but really it's the meaty aspects that are dominating this one. There's a little bit of woody or nutty character as well. Some sort of earthy hop, I think, to it, but you can pick up a little bit of red fruit. It's a kind of candied red fruit ester, this one, or sort of figgy element. It always reminds me of these little heart-shaped sweets you get in the Haribo Star Mix. It's got a little bit of that, but then again it could be slightly juicier and more figgy, I think. But it's a really nice smelling beer, this one. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and mull over the aroma of the beer before you actually taste it. That's half the experience with any craft beer or any good whiskey or sake or anything like that. Just enjoy the aroma a little bit before you get stuck in. But let's try this beer then. So this one is the Smoked Porter 2012 vintage from Alaskan Brewing Company in Juneau, Alaska. Skål, slange. That's really nice. Very, very different from any of the smoked beers I've had from other parts of the world. Yeah, definitely. It is more of a porter. You know, it says it on the bottle, of course. Of course, it's going to be more of a porter, but it's just got a completely different feel to it than any of the other smoked beers I've had before. Like I said, the smoked beers, the Bamberg smoked beers, the Spezials and the Schlenkerlas, that was where my love of craft beer really began. Because I've got a really strong flavour palette, and that was just what got me into beer initially. This one's completely different, and it's cool to try the first ever American smoked beer. I love how that comes across, and the thing that surprises me about this, I mean, it's only 6.5%, and if this has been aged for 5 years, it's really cool that you can do that. I would have thought you would need quite a bit more alcohol content to the beer to be able to do that. I would have thought you needed to be at least 9% or 10%, something like that. So it's really cool to learn that a lower ABV beer like this can age so well. This is a good beer. If you get the chance to try this, I really recommend that you do. But as I always say with any dark beer, sugar it around your palate and just let the whole mouth or your whole palate adjust to the beer so you can fully kind of analyse what's going on in the flavour. But this is a really good beer, make no mistake about that. And it's really quite easy drinking as well, but then again, that's the main difference between an imperial stout and a porter. The porters tend to use lager yeasts and stuff like this to give them that lighter mouthfeel, but this one is really, really nice. So get this one if you have the chance to try it. I highly recommend you do. But yeah, with this one, you can feel some of that roasted black malt just underpinning the beer. On top of that, in the middle of your palate, you can pick up a little bit of a kind of brown bready character. There is a sort of woody character just kind of underpinning the beer as well on top of that black malt. The smoky character to this one is quite interesting. I'm getting more of it in the aftertaste. It's not there so much initially, and it is more like a kind of ashy sort of woody smoky character that I'm getting out of this one, which is quite interesting. It comes across completely differently in the flavour than it does in the aroma in my mind. That's good, I like that. Yeah, it's all sort of, the smokiness in this is really interesting, just how woody it is. It does lean a little bit more towards the meaty side of things. There's not really anything in the way of peat that I'm picking up in this. It really is more of a meaty and kind of woody smoky character that I'm getting out of this one. I like just how it comes across. It's a lovely, lovely beer, this. There's a lot going on in it. There's some toasted brown sugars in there as well, but not too much. It's really the woody character for me that's dominating this one, along with the black malt and that nice little bit of smokiness. The brown sugars are quite subdued in this one, I would say, and there's maybe even a little bit of just nutty character as you move further towards the front of your palate. I just like how this beer goes together. The whole point of this one is just how the whole flavour blends together, and that tends to be the thing with the smoke beers. You've got this really strong kind of smoky bite to a lot of them, and then you've just got a little bit of complexity to it. This one is a little bit more easygoing and more easy drinking actually, so it's a completely different change of pace when it comes to the style, and I do need to seek out some more of these smoked porter beers to try. But that's nice. The hoppy side of things is exactly what you'd expect. In the back corners of your palate, there's a little bit of bitterness. It's a kind of earthy bitterness that's coming out of this one. As you move further forward on your tongue, it does smooth out a little bit. Then at the front corners of the palate, you get a little bit of that earthy bitterness again. And as you go round the very front curve of your palate, it's just a little bit lighter and sort of grassy, I would say. But you can feel a little bit of that black malt. The black malt character in this one is just kind of it's moving a little bit more towards the kind of, I can feel a little bit that black malt just creeping towards the front of my tongue as well, which is quite interesting. And just behind the front curve of your palate, of course, that's where you're going to get some of these nice red fruity esters coming out of the beer as well. For me, this one has quite a little bit of figgy character. There's a sort of candied red fruit note in there as well. Maybe there's just a little bit of sharpness, like some raisins or something like that as well, but you'll get all these nice little red fruity esters just coming out in that little oily bubble behind the very front curve of your tongue. It's a mix of figs, candied red fruits, and a little bit of a sort of raisiny sharpness to it as well. It's this whole beer, the way to sum up this beer is that the flavour goes together really quite nicely, and if you like your porters to be kind of nice and roasted with black malt, I think you're going to enjoy this one. And it's just got a nice kind of subtle smoked edge to it, but they were saying on the website that the smoke tends to drop a little bit with the age, so it would be cool to try a newer vintage of this and just try it when it's that little bit smokier. So maybe I need to look out for that when I go up, if I go up to Alaska at some point in the future. Hopefully I can get up to Juneau and visit the brewery at some point. That would be really cool actually, to go up there and have a look at it. But just be aware with this one, that is what they were saying on the website, that the smoke tends to drop a little bit as the beer gets older, but even at this age it's a really nice beer. So if you get the chance, try this one for yourself. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this one is probably mid-bodied. It's a little bit heavier than some of the porters I've come across before. The carbonation is quite smooth. The mouthfeel mainly is kind of creamy on this one, to be honest. There's a little bit of oily character, but not much at all. Mainly a nice sort of creamy kind of thing. The hoppy character on this one, there is a little bit of bitterness, but mainly it's quite smooth. The malt side of things, like I said, it leans more towards the roasty bitterness, but there is a little bit of a kind of sweetness to it as well in points. You can get a little bit of brown sugar in the middle of your palate. There's not really a chocolatey element to this one, which is quite interesting, and then there's just a little bit of red fruity character behind the very front tip of your tongue too. But like I said, the main way to sum up this beer is that it is really nice. If you want it to be a little bit more smoky, go for one of the newer vintages, but if you want it to be just a nice kind of roasted bitterness with a lot of complexity, I guess one of the older vintages is what you want to go for. I was a little bit, when I was buying this in the shop, I was a little bit surprised that it was a 2012 vintage. I expected maybe a 2015 or a 2016 one or something like that, but to see it was 2012, I was surprised. And the main thing that got me was that I was kind of intrigued that a 5-year-old beer of only 6.5% could hold up so well in the bottle. So you learn something new every day. Even after 1,000 beers, you are learning that things like this are possible. So really cool, and a big thumbs up to Alaskan Brewing Company for this one. If you get the chance to try the smoked porter, I highly recommend that you do. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out all my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. It'd be great to hear from you guys. Let me know some other Alaskan breweries I should be having a look at, and let me know your favourite beers from Alaskan Brewing Company as well. I really hope I can try the Alaskan Amber for you at some point, and maybe their Imperial Red as well. They do have various other things, but hopefully I can return to this brewery in the not too distant future, but I'm not sure how likely we are to find some of their things over here in Europe, but we'll see how it goes. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, Slanger just now, make sure you check out some of the Alaskan Brewing Company beers from Juneau in Alaska if you get the chance. Cheers.